Hey, greetings. It is Tonya Poole here with Everybody's a Taurus, including you. For the Aries video last month, I wasn't on camera. The past few videos, I haven't been on camera. So I was like, let me show my face. So greetings. Welcome to Everybody's a Taurus, including you. I already have the cards already laid out for all of the signs. Those of you who have watched this before and those of you who are new, if you're new, you don't know. But if you watched before, you know that I go through all 12 signs of the zodiac to give wisdom for each of the 12 signs for the time in which we're living. So what does that mean? We're in Taurus season. So this is all about how do we all live and thrive in Taurus season, because no matter what your sun sign is, we all have Taurus somewhere in our birth charts. So in this video, I will go through each sign, like if you're an Aries, if you're a Virgo, if you're a Sagittarius, what do you most need to know, do, and be aware of this Taurus season. But as usual, I open up with some deep insights. Y'all, last night when I was preparing for this, and I was like, I don't feel like being on camera, but I was like, nah, I got to get on camera for this. This is Taurus season, and Taurus is all about the beauty. Not all about the beauty, but that's one of them. So I was like, let me throw on a little lip gloss, get on here on this camera, right? For my fellow earth sign, Taurus. I'm a sun sign Virgo, so, Taurus season, I definitely resonate with that energy. But we are in Taurus season, and last night I got my notes in front of me because so much was coming to me. And so this opening piece is for everybody. I highly suggest that you watch this opening piece because it's going to make what I say when I get to your sign make so much more sense. It'd be not more sense, but just more powerful. Like, come on, y'all. Like, get all you came here to get, right? So anyway, let me go ahead and get into it. So this Taurus season is very interesting because we have a few eclipses coming up, but I'm only going to talk about this solar eclipse because it is happening this week that I am actually recording this. So before I get into that particular piece about the solar eclipse, I do want to say, if you can keep one word at the forefront of your brain as I'm going through this whole thing, and that word is pleasure. Pleasure, 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 pleasure. Whatever that means to you. Taurus energy resonates a lot with pleasure. That word has come up. I've heard that word a lot over the past 2 weeks. The idea of pleasure, the idea of being able to tap into one's ability to feel and experience pleasure in life. Now, a lot of times when we talk about pleasure, when that word comes up, it is only dealing with one topic, typically sex. And Taurus energy is about sexual pleasure. It does have that involved with it. So some folk might really be feeling it right now. But pleasure is in all aspects of our lives. One of the other things about Taurus energy, and when we're in Taurus season, again, no matter what your sun sign is, one of the things about Taurus energy is that it also deals with work and focus and how you make your money, right? And so if there's no pleasure in how you make your money, if there's no pleasure in what you have to focus on day to day to day, if there's no pleasure in just what you do, your daily routine, your habits, your rituals, then what is the seasoning of your life? I'm trying to get it out. What is the flavor of your life? Life can be very dull and humdrum, and you're just working just to pay bills, or you're just meeting with friends because out of obligation, not out of pleasure, right? And so this idea of pleasure is very, 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 very key right now while we're in Taurus season. Those of you who were you may know I'm a part of a group called the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective. And this past Kwanzaa, with everything still going on in the world at that time, we had our Kwanzaa celebration virtually. And so one of the things that I talked about when it was my night to do the live presentation, if you were there, I talked about the five key things: joy, pleasure, energy, time, and money. And I made a connection between all of those. And one of the things I talked about then, and that I've been reminded of just as this word pleasure has come up, is that those last three, that time, energy, and money, if there's no pleasure there and if there's no joy there, it just makes time go by so slowly and painfully. It makes any money you make not even joyous or fun, because it was so hard to get, it was so difficult to get, or there was no pleasure in getting it. And so then you're holding on to your money because, what is a saying that people say, like, I worked so hard for this. Like, when it comes to spending money, we think about the lack of joy that went into that money, right? And so we only want to spend it towards things that bring more joy, right? It has to be worth it, right? And so all of these things that I'm saying are tying into this Taurus energy that we're experiencing, because Taurus season, and wherever Taurus is in your birth chart, and if you want to know, I will give you an opportunity to book an actual one-on-one coaching session with me, and we can actually talk about that. But one of the things about Taurus is that it's not only about a time or sign dealing with pleasure and work and how you are going about earning your money and showing up, but it's also about your own personal values. Again, because typically where one either makes or spends their money or uses their money is connected to their values, and your values are connected to your pleasure, right? And so all of these things we are experiencing, and even self-worth and self-love. I don't have my book in front of me. Come on, Tonya. Like, what am I doing? The magic of self-love. Oh, there it is. I don't feel like getting up though. The Magic of Self-Love on Amazon. My book is on Amazon, but I talk about the power of self-love and the power of self-worth, because wherever your self-love and your self-worth is, typically determines how you'll go about earning your money, typically connects to how you will allow pleasure into your life. So we are in a time where it is important for us to think about those things. And this whole reading, when I get to your sign, I will be looking at those things as well. So one of the things that I wrote down, we have 2 eclipses coming up. We have the solar eclipse at the end of this week that I'm doing this on. And so that's the one I'm gonna really talk about. We have a lunar eclipse coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll probably talk about that later on in another video if I feel like it. But solar eclipses, I wrote down, are so powerful. And it's not about ritualizing. It's not about, typically when there's like a new moon or full moon, people go into ritual mode. But when there is an eclipse happening, an eclipse signals that it makes me feel like, when you've had that elder in your life, or like your parent or someone, when you're dealing with something that's above your pay grade, and your parent steps in and says, go sit down, I'll handle this. That's what an eclipse is. The eclipse is not asking you to get into full ritual mode and do all this moon magic and all of this sorts of things. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's kind of interfering in what the universe is trying to do, because an eclipse is like a drastic change, an inevitable change, something that's already been in the making, something that is already being orchestrated for you on your behalf. And it could be either good or bad, depending on how you have been positioning yourself. So one of the things that I was writing down in my notes, or one of the things that came to me, is that this solar eclipse is not about, doing the ritual. It's about getting in position. It's about already signaling to the universe what it is, what drastic changes that you are ready for in your life. And particularly because it's happening the sun is in Taurus, the moon will be in Taurus. So Mercury's in Taurus. It's a lot going on. Like it's I think Mercury's in Taurus, but Uranus is in Taurus. Like it's so much going on in this particular sign of Taurus that you're signaling to the universe, I'm ready for great change in the areas of my money, in the areas of my pleasure, in the areas of my self-love and my self-worth. That's the focus. So begin to position yourself for that. It began to make me think about how two examples that came to me. One, if you've ever been to the ocean and you see the waves coming in, and depending on how big that wave is, will determine where you position yourself. Like you might, stand like boldly in front of it. You might turn to the side. You might get out the water. You might, whatever, because that wave is coming regardless. So it's like, are you prepared to ride the wave? And then another example that came to me was, if you've ever been to like a fine dining restaurant experience, there's a difference between when you go there versus when you go to just a regular restaurant. A regular restaurant will let you make all of these ridiculous requests, right? Because you don't know no better. You don't know no better. You're like, oh, do this, right? Which is fine. I mean, you can do that at any other restaurant, but at a fine dining restaurant, where there's a master chef, you trust what that master chef is going to bring to the table. That master chef, as opposed to when you're at, like one, I don't want to say any restaurant names, but when you're at like a regular family style restaurant that usually has like a lot of commercials on TV and all that kind of stuff, the experience is completely different than when you're at a fine dining experience. At the fine dining, the master chef is very clear on all of the ingredients. They're not necessarily cooking from a template, from freeze dried, from, step one, step two. It's more of an art. It's an intuitive thing. And so, the chef, it is understood that the chef understands those ingredients better than you. They are the ones who understand why a steak perhaps shouldn't be cooked well done to a burnt crisp. Now, you can ask for that at a regular restaurant, but when you're dealing with a master chef, they know properly how to prepare that steak or how to make that asparagus or how to, and they prepare it in an art form way. And the idea is that once you put your order in, you just relax and you trust how that master chef is going to prepare that meal, right? That is like the solar eclipse. How long was that example? I don't know. But that's like this solar eclipse. The solar eclipse is like you at a fine dining restaurant. You showed up, you dressed the part, you ordered, and then you let the master chef prepare for you the meal how it is supposed to be prepared, and you enjoy it, right? You got in position for what that chef was bringing to you. You got in position for what the universe has. So a solar eclipse is when, whenever the sun is being eclipsed, in astrology, that connects to our own solar energy, our own personality, how we shine, our ego, how we show up. When a solar eclipse happens, it's like it's time for a new you. It's time that the old ways aren't gonna work. So if you've been saying, I want this in my life, I want to manifest this in my life, how are you showing up? So when you are making those requests to the universe, and how do you make those requests to the universe? You've been making them all along through your thoughts, through your words, through how you are showing up in your day-to-day life. One of the reasons, if I can be real transparent, one of the reasons why, my past few videos haven't been on camera. It's not that I ain't cute. It's just that I didn't feel like, getting camera cute. You know what I'm saying? Like in the moment when the spirit moved me to do a video, it's like sometimes people get so distracted by what they see that they can't hear what's being said. But this time that is Taurus season, and it is about, Taurus has a very beautification energy to it. It's ruled by Venus. So it's a very, it is about how you show up. And if we look at nature, nature is doing it. All the flowers are blooming. So there is a very beautification quality to it. But you know, so one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I need to be here in front of the camera is because, you know, it's like, okay, bring yourself back, you know, at a higher level, right? Bring yourself back present, you know, smiling, lipstick, you know, all those sorts of things, because that aligns to even my level of self-worth and self-love and the things that I too am attracting into my own life, right? And so when this solar eclipse is happening in the sign of Taurus, it's asking you, how are you showing up? How have you been showing up? And is that in alignment with who you say you are, with your self-worth, with your self-love, with what you're asking for to be made manifest into your life? Now, again, that solar eclipse isn't asking any of us to be super like, okay, I want it this way and it's got to show up this way. It's got to show up this way. No, 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 no. This solar eclipse is asking you to get in position in terms of what brings you pleasure, what truly brings you pleasure. And I feel the need to say this because sometimes many of us are doing things that we think we have been told are things you do in order to bring pleasure into your life, but you don't really enjoy it, you know? So it's about, again, being in tune with what truly brings you pleasure, not with what family says, what your spouse says, what your boyfriend, girlfriend says, what have you. What truly brings you pleasure? If you don't know, nobody else will know that for you. And if you don't know, and if you're not getting yourself in position for that, then a solar eclipse is going to be whatever you get, right? And you can't ritualize, you know, a solar eclipse. You can only get into position for it, right? So this week is all about getting in position for I don't want to say just the new you, but the higher, more elevated, the part of you that is more closely aligned to what truly brings you pleasure in terms of work, in terms of sex, in terms of engaging in general with other people, in terms of engaging with yourself, in terms of even what just came to me, even things that maybe you've been neglecting. Like some of you get real pleasure from reading, but you haven't been reading because you feel like there's not enough time and so much going on and you don't have time to just sit down and read a good book. You have to make time for that, because where you find genuine pleasure is where your wealth is where your money is where your growth and expansion is, right? So a solar eclipse is saying, so you have to become that person. You've got to shine your light, your solar energy in a new way, you know? So when that solar energy when the sun is eclipsed, the sun goes dark for a minute, right? When our own solar energy is eclipsed, the old way, there can be a moment where we can't find our old selves, where things don't feel normal anymore, where we feel shaken up a bit, where we're grasping at, who am I? What am I doing? Right? What is this life all about? And that's because the old is dying away. That the eclipse is saying, okay, it's enough of that. That's why it's going to be hard to go back to your old default self. I mean, you can, but you will be going against so much of universal energy, right? So the old self is like being eclipsed, is fading to black. So a new you can shine, but you have to raise your level of intention to let that new version of you shine. I feel like I said a lot. And this opening was only supposed to be 10 minutes, but it is what it is. So I do want to say this here. I do have a very an impromptu. It's not an impromptu totally. I do, as many of you know, I'm an astrologer, but I'm also just a life coach, a spiritual life coach and personal life coach. So I do have space for a very, very special coaching session. I won't even say it's a package. It's a one session that really focuses on who you are, what your values are, your self-love, your self-worth, what brings you pleasure. And I'm pulling all of my tools. I'm bringing all of my tools into that session, from astrology to oracle to basic coaching. Because sometimes y'all don't even need all that extra stuff sometimes distracts people. Y'all get too excited. Ooh, sun signs and astrology and tarot and all that kind of stuff, when sometimes it's just, you just need somebody to give you real practical wisdom and shine a light and a mirror on you so you can see what you're doing and where you're going. But it's all about bringing more pleasure into your work, more pleasure into your personal life, more pleasure into your relationships, so that everything else that you desire to increase and to grow, whether it's money, whether it's just your joy, all of those things can increase and grow in your life. And so if you are wanting that, I have a few spaces available for that. I'm only doing that now while we are in Taurus season. So click the link below, get signed up. And it is such, I can't even tell you everything that comes out of it, because when you bring your energy and I bring my energy, something magical happens in that coaching session. So if you want that, make sure that you click below to get that. And then lastly, because there's so much energy, so many planets right now are in the sign of Taurus, and there's so much that is rooting for us and pushing for us to increase in our self-love, increase in our money, increase in our values, increase in our self-worth. There is also an energy there, a planet there that is known for shaking things up. And Taurus does not like to be shaken up. The energy of Taurus, wherever it is in your chart, again, no matter what your sun sign is, but wherever Taurus is, it likes stability. It likes things to be sure, to be sure, secure, no surprises. Like it likes certain things to be stable, such as your money, right? But there's a certain planet there that likes instability, that likes shaking things up, that likes to rebel. And that energy there is saying to us that there are some places in our lives where we have become stagnant, where we think our money can only come from this way, where we think we can only find pleasure from this particular person or from this particular activity. And the planet that I'm speaking of there is Uranus. And Uranus is like, there's so much more though. There's so much more. So during this Taurus season, we may find, I can get it out. We may find that some of what we think our pleasure and our money and our joy has to come from is being shaken up, so that the door is open for new ways and opportunities that we would never think of. So during this solar eclipse and during all of Taurus season, we are encouraged to keep an open mind, because you don't know what you would like, which would take me back to that MasterChef example. You go to the fine dining experience, that MasterChef, you place your order and they bring it out to you and you're looking and you're like, I don't know, I don't know. I would do it like this or I would do it like that. But you have to be open to the whole experience, because that master chef knows ingredients and flavors and seasonings that you are not aware of if you just went to the regular family style, sit down, regular restaurant, right? And ordered the same nachos or the same, chicken sandwich, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to be open to the glorious experiences that life is trying to present to you that will bring you so much more pleasure and joy. Okay, I can feel it in my sacral, in my solar plexus. So I'm gonna stop. All right, so anyway, make sure you click down below. I think that's all I wanted to say in my notes. And let's go ahead and get into it. For all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Taurus, this is your season. Happy birthday season. Shout out to all of my Taurians. If you skipped ahead and you missed the opening, make sure you go back and listen to that because I said some amazing things there. I had notes, but I was just really just talking from my spirit as well. So I'm going to have to go back and listen to it to hear what I said. But it was powerful. And I talked about this solar eclipse that's coming up. So make sure that you get that as well. All right. So the cards that came up for all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Taurus, you got a card that is the 11. I had to do my Roman numerals. 11th house. You got the 11th house, and then you have an affirmation that says, I complete what I start. Ooh, 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 ooh. Which, for sun, moon, and rising sign Taurus, sometimes because y'all have the reputation of being very steadfast and very focused, some of y'all might be looking at this, I always complete what I start. But since y'all got this card, you may need a little bit more encouragement on that, on completing what you start. This 11th house, I'm going to read to you what it says on here, but I will explain more. It says, this is the house of friendships, groups, and social activities where we are involved. It covers teams, friends, groups, society, technology, projects, and social media, as well as originality, eccentricity, social justice, rebellion, and humanitarianism. Looking at this, your season may be a time when you are really more focused on your social groups and your social networks. That's what the 11th house basically is. And it says, I connect. It's who you connect to. That's what the 11th house is in astrology. Looking at your connections. It is possible that you have a connection. Maybe you have started something with one of your social networks. Maybe you belong to an organization or a group that you have started an endeavor on or a project on, and you just need to be reminded that you complete what you start. But again, because so much of the opening message that I gave talked about pleasure, I would highly encourage, if there's any place in your life where you're stagnant, if there's any place in your life where, you're doing, you're part of a group, but you don't feel a part of the group, or there's some sort of disconnection and it's preventing you from completing what you start or engaging in a bigger and better way, perhaps it is because there's a lack of pleasure somewhere, something where you may feel you don't feel the pleasure or the love or the excitement that you once felt. For you, Taurus, I would say that this is really then the time to, before you can find the pleasure in your connections and in your social networks, you have to remember the pleasure that you have within yourself, because it is your energy that you're bringing to your social networks. It is your energy that you're bringing to your friendships and your connections and your network. And once you tap back into what truly brings you pleasure, even within a group, what within that group, what is it that you do in that group that brings you pleasure? So you might be so focused on the overall theme of the group, or the overall meaning of why y'all are meeting, or whatever. I don't know. I feel like for some of you, you may be thinking that you have to take on the role of some of the other members of that friendship or group, but it's about remembering, the light and the energy that you brought to that table. Tap back into that energy and really let it swell and grow within you. And through doing that, it's like your light and your life and your energy is reignited within your social groups. And then you are able to complete what you start. It's hard to complete what you start, or to remain in a friendship or relationship when you can't remember your own pleasure. You have to remember your own reasoning for being there. Those of you, if you skipped ahead and you missed my special announcement, I do have a few slots available for a very special one-time, Pleasure is My Birthright is actually the name of it. Pleasure is My Birthright, one-on-one coaching session that is so magical and so powerful, and it will help to reignite your own self-love and your own self-worth. And I bring so much of so much magic to that particular coaching session. So if you want that, it is available. Make sure you click down below. while it is still available. The link is down below. Who is next? Gemini. Gemini. Hi, Geminis. During Taurus season, those of you who skipped ahead, please make sure that you go back and listen to the opening, because I talked all about our theme, which is about pleasure, about pleasure, about pleasure, about pleasure, about pleasure. How many of you Geminis are just doing, and ignoring the pleasure principle, the true pleasure principle, right? I don't know. So go back and listen. All right. So the cards that came up for you. Ooh. You got the second house, which, by the way, loves the sign of Taurus. We're in Taurus season, so this is very auspicious. You got the second house, and then you got an affirmation that says, "My intuition never steers me wrong." So to all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Geminis, this second house card says on here, this is the house of resources, material possessions, and values. Here is where we see our belongings, wealth, and finances, as well as the pillars on which material, intellectual, and emotional security is developed. Gemini, during Taurus season, it's time for you to focus on what truly brings value to your life. It's just that simple. What truth are you so busy that you're not really focusing on what actually brings value to your life? Because Taurus energy, when we're in Taurus season, we are challenged to think about what truly brings us value. How is our own self-worth and our own self-value showing up in our day-to-day lives? And are we putting value on you? So I'm talking to Gemini. So Gemini, are you putting value in things that don't have a real tangible, because the second house is very physical world. So are you putting your value and your worth towards things that don't really pan out for you financially, don't really pan out for you sexually, don't really pan out for you in terms of your resources, aren't really adding like anything real valuable to your life? Is it just you're doing things, but it doesn't make sense when it comes to your actual real world resources, and the second house is also a very physical, it's the physical world, your resources. How is all of your work and your energy and your time, how is it adding to your bank account? Real simply put, if you look at all the areas where you have given your energy, how has that replenish you in terms of money, but also in terms of energy, and self-worth and self-value? Question. So it says, my intuition never steers me wrong. So you probably already know the areas of your life where there might be some draining of energy in terms of time or money, or your own personal energy. You are probably already intuitively aware of that. And this week that I'm recording this, again, I talked about this in the opening, so you got to go back and listen to the opening. This solar eclipse that's happening, that means your old self, that old way of doing things, is about to be eclipsed. And there's a new light and a new energy that is trying to, your own soul is trying to show up in a new and brighter way. This is beautiful. This tells me when you allow that light and that energy to really shine through, it could translate into actual physical, monetary, or wealth or resources. So it's really the time for you to do that. Those of you who skipped ahead, you might have missed that I have a premium coaching opportunity available only right now during Taurus season. It's called Pleasure is My Birthright. It's a one-on-one coaching experience where I bring all of my tools, astrology, oracle, real-time coaching, practical coaching, as well as some other assignments. I'm not going to give it all away here, but it's about incorporating more pleasure into your work, your life, your relationships, and all of those sorts of things, because that is one of the reasons why we're living. If it's not pleasurable, why do we do what we do, right? And it's about creating new avenues to allow pleasure and all of the benefits of that into your life. And so if you want that, the link is down below. I'm only doing a limited amount of those. So if you want that, make sure that you sign up for that early. All right, who is next? Cancer. Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Cancer during Taurus season. These are the cards that came up for you. This is a powerful one. Y'all got the full moon. Look at that. Y'all got the full moon. And y'all got, I have everything I need. I mean, y'all could probably, y'all so intuitive. Y'all could probably just do this reading yourself. Go on, Cancers. Go ahead. Tell me y'all's reading. Yep. The full moon is when, yes, is when things come to a fullness. It's when there is the abundance of everything, good or bad, but there is this sense of fullness, of abundance, of being fully yourself is what I just felt for my Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Cancers during Taurus season. It's about being fully yourself. The card itself says energy peak, harvest, blessings, and achievement. Cancers, I want y'all, and the moon is y'all's planet in astrology. This rules the sign of Cancer. So this is very auspicious for all of my Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Cancers to, I don't know. I just keep feeling like do like this, like just be full, be all of yourself, radiate your own light, like don't hide any parts of yourself that you want magnified, right? And if you listen to the opening, okay, so if you skipped ahead to this point, I don't know what to tell you because you need to go back and watch the opening of this video when I did my preliminary talk. And I talked about this solar eclipse that's coming up. And this solar eclipse is about the newer, higher version of yourself shining through after your old self being eclipsed, right? And so this is about getting in position. What do you want the universe to bring back to you? You have to get in position. You have to then, it almost makes me feel like when somebody's wanting to be rescued, let's just say they're stranded on an island somewhere or stranded out at sea and they got those flares, right? They will spark one of those flares so that an airplane or somebody can see the light and then come and rescue them. That's what I feel about this. When you let your light shine so brightly, the fullness of who you are, then the universe gets that signal and it sends back to you everything that you need. So go back and listen to the opening where I give the Master Chef example, and I give so many examples about this solar eclipse, and that's going to help you because you really do have everything you need. But with this full moon here, because the moon also deals with beliefs and the subconscious mind. So the question is, do you believe it though? Do you believe you have everything you need? And even if you can't see everything that you need, do you believe that when you shine your light, the universe will bring it to you? I have a very special premium coaching package that is available now, limited amount. But it's only available right now during Taurus season. So to all of my Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Cancers, if you want that, it's called Pleasure is My Birthright. It's a one-on-one coaching session with me. I look at your natal chart. I pull cards. I use regular wisdom from basic coaching. It's not basic coaching, from amazing coaching. And so if you want that, it is only available now because we're talking about pleasure. So if you want Pleasure is My Birthright, to understand how to incorporate more pleasure in your work, so you're not just working to work, with more pleasure in your love life, so you're not just sexing just the sex, you know what I mean? It's actually pleasure. All of your activities in life is about including more pleasure in your life so that you can bring in more abundance into your life. So if you want that, click down below while it is still available. All right. Who is next? Leo. To all my Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, Leo. I don't know why whenever I get to Leo, I'm always like, Leo. So all my Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Leos during Taurus season. Ooh, y'all got some work to do. Y'all got the Scorpio card. I know it's a whole lot of signs. You're Leo. We're in Taurus season. I'm bringing up the Scorpio card. I'll explain it in a minute. But y'all got Scorpio. And then y'all have, I have the power to change how I respond to disappointments and disagreements. This Taurus season, for all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Leos, because you got the Scorpio card, Scorpio itself is an energy that is very intimate. It is hidden. It is like, it's almost like one of the darkest signs of the zodiac, because it represents the parts of ourselves that we don't typically like to display to other people. We don't like other people to see certain things. And with you all being Leos, I can only imagine it's certain parts. Y'all don't want people to see you when you're not at your best, when you're not shining your light, when you're not the prettiest, when you're not the most put together, when you're not, you don't want people to see that. What just came to me is, if you don't want people to see it, then you got to do the work in the dark. Meaning you have to do the inner work. You know the stuff that you need to work on that you ain't been working on. You know the things, that the grudges you're holding, the hurt feelings that you have, because we're in Taurus season. So it could also be feelings of low self-worth and self-value, and you're trying to pretend like it's not there, but you know it's there, and the universe knows it's there, right? So if you skipped ahead to this point and you missed my whole opening, I hate it for you, because that means you already ain't doing the work. You need to rewind this, watch the whole opening, because I talked before I got into all the signs. I talked about how, this Taurus season, we have both a solar and a lunar eclipse. This is a power season where it's like certain things you can't avoid. You can't avoid. And with this solar eclipse, there's a newer, brighter, more vibrant version of you that is trying to be birthed. But that also means releasing the old parts of you that no longer work. If you've been in denial about things you need to work on, if you've been blaming other people for the disappointments and disagreements in your life, and even if validly so, people have maybe been doing things, but this card says, I have the power to change how I respond. So for some of you, sun, moon, and rising sign Leos, it is how you have been responding to disappointments and disagreements that is causing more disappointments and disagreements into your life. If you change how you respond to them, and the only way to change how you respond to them is to change who you are, see your own light, see your own value, see your own self-worth, that will change how you deal with these things, right? And especially because, without going into too much astrology, it's important that you do this work, because it really will be how your light will shine in terms of your career, in terms of your long-term success, in terms of your reputation. Your reputation right now, Leo, is very important, and it has nothing to do with anybody outside of you. It is all you. You got to deal with any shiitake that is in the darkest parts of yourself. And I feel like for some of you, it's rooted in, some of you are doing very well at showing up as though you have a lot of self-worth and self-love, but you don't. So you have to get genuine self-love and self-care, self-worth. That's the only way you're really going to shine. That's the only way you're really going to get that success and that money and those accolades that you desire and deserve. Make sure that you click down below to get my book, The Magic of Self-Love. And if you want access to this premium limited time coaching session that I have available, Pleasure is My Birthright coaching session, where I'm looking at your chart, I'm doing the astrology, the oracle, I'm bringing all of my tools, my coaching, all of those sorts of things to help you to incorporate more pleasure in your work, your personal life, and all aspects of your life, so that you can attract more abundance into your life. Then make sure you click down below and get that, Leo. All right, so who is next? Virgo, 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 this Taurus season. Okay. So to all my sun, moon, and rising sign Virgos, during Taurus season, this is the wisdom that has come forth for you. You got the retrograde. Just a retrograde. Don't even say Mercury. Don't say, just retrograde. I'll explain that in a second. And then you also have everything in creation is cheering me on. One thing I know about Virgo, because I am a sun sign Virgo. One thing I know about Virgo is that oftentimes we are greater than what we allow, what we have allowed. I'm gonna say it like that, what we have allowed, which is why I believe this retrograde card is showing up. I don't think it's so much about going in the past and reliving the past or going back and figuring things out. I feel like this retrograde is giving me a fast feeling, meaning fast, like just do a quick review of the past since January 2022. Where in your life what lessons do you think you need to learn better? Where in your life do you feel like you could have done things at a higher level, at a better level? Where have you been living in the past or living in your default setting? And afraid that if you live fully yourself, that some kind of way the universe isn't going to support you, because perhaps you have been looking at how maybe you've tried things in the past that failed or weren't as successful as you would have liked, or just kind of fizzled out. The star wasn't as bright as you wanted it to be. The firework wasn't as bright as you wanted it to be. And so you're looking at the past in terms of failure, in terms of where it could have been better, where it wasn't perfect, because Virgo has that perfection thing, right? So where things weren't perfect, where things weren't the absolute best. And it's like, no, maybe, because again, we're in Taurus season that deals with self-worth and self-love. Maybe were you showing up as your absolute best, not as in terms of your expectation of other people, expecting other people to do their best and be their best, but were you showing up in the full embodiment of self-love and self-worth? When you do, here's the lesson that retrograde is trying to teach you. When you do, you will understand that everything in creation is cheering you on. The universe has been cheering you on. The universe is only matching your own energy. So if you're showing up at 50%, it shows up at 50%. If you're showing, you might be working hard, but you might be doing a lot of things in terms of working hard, and you feel like you've been doing this. But are you matching that with that self-love and that self-worth piece? You know, it's not enough to just show up every day for work. Are you showing up every day as and not just doing the job right? Are you showing up as the full embodiment of the magic of your soul? That's the only way I can express that. You know the greatness that you have. So why would you even bring a little bit of that to the table? Any table that you were sitting in, bring all of yourself and watch the universe then match that energy. If you were one of the Virgos who skipped ahead to this point and you missed my opening, shame on you. You need to go back and watch the opening, because I talked about how this week we have a solar eclipse, and that solar eclipse is not about, don't do no rituals. Don't be like, oh, I'm lighting candles, I'm doing all that. Don't do that this solar. That's not what this is about. The solar eclipse is an energy you cannot, don't try to ritualize it. The only thing you can do is get in position. Get in position for the new and brighter solar energy that you want to be exuded through you. The new and brighter personality, the new and brighter creativity, and the way of going about living your life. Get in position now with that, by how you live, by how you show up, by how you comb your hair, by how, one of the reasons, I'm going to be real transparent. One of the reasons why I actually came back on the camera for this one, because, last month I was not on the camera for the Everybody's in Aries video, and some other videos I wasn't on the camera. It wasn't because I wasn't cute. It's just, I just didn't feel like bringing all of me, and what came to me was, no, Tonya, bring all of you to this space in this moment. And so that's what a lot of Virgos are needing to hear right now, because then you'll see the universe has been trying to bless you, but you're saying, well, no, wait, I got to get this together first. No, wait, the past did, that's why solar eclipse, you can't tell a solar eclipse what to do. The solar eclipse just comes in. It's like, I'm gonna give you what I want to give you, right? You can't do no candle magic that, whatever it is, just cancel that out. Get in position by beginning to be and live the person that you know that you are, and then watch the universe bless and surprise you this Taurus season. This might be a prophetic word for some Virgos. This Taurus season, in the next 30 days, you could be really, truly amazed by when you surrender and you allow the universe to bless you as it's been trying to bless you. Those of you, if you missed my opening, then you also missed my announcement for the Pleasure is Your Birthright premium coaching session that is only available during Taurus season. And I am bringing all of me to that session for those of you who sign up for it. My astrology, oracle, general coaching, assignments, whatever comes out of that magical moment when you and I sit down over the camera in terms of coaching, so that you can see how to bring more pleasure into every area of your life is what will come out in that session. And because we know from the opening that pleasure is the way that we allow more abundance and joy and fulfillment into our life. If you're working and there's no pleasure, it's like, what are you working for? If you're having sex and there's no pleasure, what are you having sex for? If you're getting dressed and you don't like how you look, how you look doesn't even bring you pleasure. So it's all about infusing more pleasure into your life, because really that is the missing key for a lot of people. So if you want that, it is available for a very limited time. The Pleasure is My Birthright coaching session. That link is down below. Who is next? Libra. All right. So Libra. To all my sun, moon, and rising signs, Libra, during Taurus season, these are the cards that came up for you. You got the Opposition card, and you got Life Loves Me. And I feel like last month during the Everybody's Aries video, y'all had a kind of tough one. This is semi-tough, but you're coming out of that. Let me explain. So to all my sun, moon, and rising sign Libras, opposition, and I don't know if you can see what it says on here, but it says complement, duality, dependence, differentiation, objectivity, oscillation, and interaction. A lot of times in astrology, like as an astrologer, when I'm reading a chart, or astrologers, when we see an opposition, sometimes that can represent a tense kind of energy. But as we see, as I read this, it really deals with complementary and duality. It's like everything that you think is opposed to you is really just you being reflected back to you. So all of these oppositions is really like when there's two sides to every coin, right? There's two sides to every card. If I said, oh, only this side is the only side of this card, it's like, no, whether you flip it over, there's another side that's bringing balance to this. And opposition is what brings balance. And being a Libra, your sign is very much represented by balance. Like if you know, the symbol for your sign is a scale. It's like the scales that have to balance each other, right? And so understand everything can't be pretty, light, easy, fun. I was talking to somebody recently and they were talking about how Libras like to look at things through rose-colored glasses, because you're looking at things just through the love aspect, that you don't sometimes see the balance of that. With love comes responsibility. With with freedom comes discipline, right? And so discipline sometimes seems, who wants to deal with that? I just want to be free, right? But there's certain structures that need to be in place to give you that freedom. And if you're constantly being undisciplined, if you're constantly being in the lower state of the opposition, then you're not giving yourself the opportunity to be rightly balanced. So this is a time to all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Libras, while we're in Taurus season, to first understand that life does love you. The universe loves you. Your God loves you. Your ancestors, there is a lot of love here for you. And you have to then be accountable for that love by putting the right structures in place, by being balanced where you need to be balanced, by being disciplined where you need to be disciplined, by being accountable and responsible where you need to be accountable and responsible. There is no escapism in the universe. You can't escape yourself, right? You can't escape yourself. And so understanding that you cannot escape yourself means that you have to work on both sides of you. I won't say there's a good and a bad. It's about, if I want this, then what do I have to bring balance to over here? Think of it like a bank account. If I want $20 in this account over here, then I need to move it from this account over, that's over here, right? So it's about bringing balance to your life. That is where your abundance comes from. That is where all of that sweet life that many of you Libras are yearning for and desiring for. And some of you, if you're thinking that life is unfair or what have you, life isn't unfair. It's only mirroring back to you your own light and your own energy. If you skipped ahead to this point and you missed my whole opening, rewind this whole thing and go back to the very beginning and watch like the first 15 minutes. Before I even got into the signs, I only talked about what this Taurus season means for everybody. And I talked about this solar eclipse that we have coming up this week that is a cosmic reset. It's an energy you can't control. It only it's like the universe is like keeping score. Okay, this person's been saying they want this, but they've been showing up like this, they've been showing up like this, they've been showing up like this. Give them what they've been showing up for. Give them what they've been showing up for. And if you don't like the energy you've been giving, and you want to shift that, then begin to reposition yourself so the universe can give you what you've actually been showing up for energetically. Also, if you skipped ahead, then you also missed my offering for the Pleasure is My Birthright premium coaching session that is only available right now during Taurus season. And I bring all of me, all of the astrology, all of the oracle, all of the coaching that helps you to realize where are you, especially for you Libras, where have you been where have you been allowing yourself to have pleasure that's really not pleasurable? Where have you been doing things? I feel like some of you have been escaping into pleasure, right? And so whenever we escape into pleasure and we're not rightly balanced, then that thing that we do for pleasure becomes the thing that actually hurts us. Good example, sex should be for pleasure. But if you're escaping into sex and not working on your own self-love and self-worth, then then those sexual experiences actually become detrimental, or they're not as pleasurable, or they're not as fulfilling. You can have 1,000 sex partners or one sex partner and 1,000 sexual experiences with that one person and still feel unfulfilled. And it has nothing to do with that person, or it has nothing to do with, whatever else you might be escaping towards, trying to find love, trying to find pleasure. It's about because you're not activating that within you, because there's also parts of you that are undisciplined and have not been nurtured, right? And so the Pleasure is My Birthright premium coaching session is only available during during Taurus season. That's the season that we're in. So if you want that, and I only have limited space because I'm only giving limited energy. I have unlimited energy, but I'm only giving limited energy to that, right? And so if you want that, make sure that you click down below and get that while it is still available. Who is next? Scorpio. To all my sun, moon, and rising sign Scorpios during Taurus season. Taurus is your opposite sign. So they are the more outward expression of you. So what cards came up for Scorpio? Sun, moon, and rising sign. Woo! Scorpio. If y'all don't use y'all's magic this Taurus season, I ain't trying to hear. If you ain't using your magic to speak some things into existence, I'm not trying to hear from y'all about y'all's little problems. Because these cards say that y'all can fix it. Y'all got Mercury, the planet Mercury, and your affirmation is, I ask for what I want. Let me tell you how auspicious this is. I think the planet Mercury has also moved into the sign of Taurus. I should know. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of, it literally says on this card, communication, knowledge, information, and curiosity. It is the planet of communication, of speaking, of writing, of taking an intention that is held within the mind or the heart and verbalizing it and putting it out there. If you skipped ahead to this section and you missed my whole opening, during the opening of this video, I talked extensively about this solar eclipse that we are experiencing this week. And I talked briefly about the lunar eclipse that will be happening in a couple of weeks. And that lunar eclipse will happen in your sign. The moon will be in the sign of Scorpio at that time. Why am I saying all this? First of all, I'm not going to repeat what I said at the beginning, so make sure you go back and just watch it. But I will say this. When there's a solar eclipse, that's a cosmic reset that is resetting your old way and your old default system and your old pattern of being and opening the way for a total shift of who you are and how you show up. So to get this, and this, that you ask for what you want, dear Scorpio, that this is really the time for you to get really, really clear about who you are and what it is that you want. Now, as I said in the beginning, this is Taurus season that really deals with self-worth and self-love. So if any of those things are skewed, or if you have a irrational belief about what you're worthy of and all of this kind of stuff, then what you ask for will be aligned to your level of self-worth and what you believe that you're worthy of having, right? So that's why it's important, as I stated in the beginning, get into the position of what you want so that that solar eclipse and then the lunar eclipse then knows what to bring you, right? So in order to communicate your values and your self-worth, you first have to communicate that to yourself. Get really clear about that for yourself and then begin to speak those words. I don't know what else to tell y'all, Scorpio. I mean, this is probably the easiest one of all these cards, because it's like you ask for what you want because you know the universe will give it to you. You're certain of that. So it's just about communicating that in a real authentic way, because again, we're in Taurus season, so it has to be aligned to and Scorpio, because the energy of your sign is about manipulating energy, and when I say manipulate, I don't mean it in just a bad way. I mean, it's about the shifting of energy. It's the sign of the alchemist, right? It's about transforming lead into gold. Some of you may be tempted to not level up in terms of your self-worth and self-love and then just try to speak the words of what you want. But the energy, the universe responds to your energy, not just to your words. So if your words are misaligned to your truest energy and your truest belief about yourself, then the eclipse is going to give you what you are putting out energetically. And the eclipse energy lasts for like 6 months. So you know, this is a slow boil that could be going on for the next 6 months. So get in position and ask for what you truly want and make sure that it is aligned to your highest self-love and self-worth. If you skipped ahead, then you also missed my announcement. For a very limited time, only during Taurus season, I have The Pleasure is My Birthright premium coaching session. It's a one-on-one coaching session for just a few people, whoever signs up first. And I use astrology and your natal chart and oracle and some real practical coaching to guide you on how to incorporate more pleasure into your life. Because in the opening, you know that I talked about pleasure is the theme during Taurus season. So how you, your truest allowance of pleasure in your life is reflected in the money that comes in, is reflected in the kind of work that you do and how you go about that work, is reflected in your relationships. And so in order to increase what does pleasure really mean to you, and to increase that, then therefore equates to more abundance and more joy and more prosperity and more pleasure. So we're looking at that. So if you want that premium coaching, make sure that you click down below. It is available only during this Taurus season or until it's enough people. and I don't want to do it anymore. So if you want that, make sure that you are one of the first to sign up down below. All right. So who is next? Sagittarius. Sagittarius. To all my sun, moon, and rising signs, Sagittarius, right now during Taurus season, here are the cards that have come up for you. You got Neptune. Neptune is doing some fabulous things right now too, the planet. But you got Neptune, and the affirmation you got is, I am free from the expectations of others. Neptune, this planet here, is a planet of dreaminess. Actually, it says on the card, inspiration, dreams, spirituality, and on its lower end, delusion. So first of all, ask yourself, where am I delusional this Taurus season, to all my Sagittarians? Again, in the opening, I talked extensively about how Taurus season is about telling all of us, no matter what our sun signs are, that this is the time to really check in with our self-love and our self-worth, and to level up in that, because our self-love, our self-worth, and the amount of pleasure that we allow in our life is then also reflected in the kind of money that comes in, the kind of relationships that we have, and the type of abundance and the quality of life that we live. So Neptune is here to tell you, first of all, don't be delusional about what truly brings you pleasure, what brings you joy. Don't be delusional about what, your truest self-worth and your self-love. But I think what it's really saying to all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Sagittarians right now is the time for you really to remember your dreams, your fantasies. Ooh, some of y'all Sagittarians, this just really came to me because the theme of this whole reading is pleasure. And I've been telling people pleasure is more than just sex. I know people hear pleasure and they think of terms of sex. Excuse me. I'm going to say this. Some of you Sagittarians really need to tap into that sexual pleasure, which I know many of you don't have a problem with. But it needs to be more than just for the sex and for the boom of that moment, right? It has to be for what you were trying to manifest into your life, what you're trying to create into your life, the dreams that you no longer want to just be dreams, but that you are trying to manifest into this real world. Because Taurus energy is very much about the real physical world, physical money, physical house to live in, physical car to drive. It is very much about finding pleasure in this physical world. So if you've been too esoteric and all here and there, and it's not equating to real time, and for some of y'all, if y'all been doing a lot of sexual stuff, and for those who might be into like sexual magic or the tantric or what have you, and it's only about that moment, and you're not, and it's a form of escapism, because Neptune does like escapism, and it's not translating into real world. Taurus is here to tell you, Sagittarius, let's translate that into real world. Some of you may have a hard time translating that into real world because you're too caught up into the expectations of others, who people want you to be, who people expect you to be, who, if you engage with them, what the expectation is, right? So you have to be very clear this Taurus season, especially when you're engaging with other people, what is your expectation? And your expectation has to be and can only be rooted in your own self-love and your own self-worth, which again is another theme that we're in right now during Taurus season. Who are you? What is your self-love? What is your self-worth? So that you can present that as your expectation of others. Because you only want others on the dream team. Neptune, again, is about dreams. You only want those on the dream team when the expectations are clear. When it's clear what we're doing, when it's clear what we're manifesting, And if you ain't on board with this, I'm clear that I can do this, on my own, or I can find another dream team. There's a disclaimer down below. So read it and understand. This is just for general information purposes. I ain't telling you to do or not to do anything, right? So anyway, so that is the information, the wisdom that has come forth for all my sun, moon, and rising sign Sagittarius. If you missed the opening, I go extensively into this solar eclipse that we're having and what that means for all of us, what that means for you. So make sure you rewind this and go back and listen to the opening of this video. Also, if you want access to Pleasure is My Birthright, exclusive premium coaching that is only available right now during Taurus season, make sure you click down below, because in that I can look at your own natal chart. I'm pulling cards specifically for you personally, not all Sagittarians, but for you personally, and looking at ways in which you can ignite that pleasure within you that draws more money, more abundance, more, makes everything you do more pleasurable. Because if you're doing a lot and it's not translating in terms of pleasure, then what are you doing it for, right? So if you want that link is down below for a very limited time. All right, who is next? Who is after Sagittarius? Capricorn. I knew this card was going to come up. I actually had to read about this particular card because I don't always, y'all got an asteroid, Pallas Athene, and I don't typically look at a lot of the asteroids in astrology. I mean, I do, but I don't all the time. But Capricorn, to all my sun, moon, and rising sign Capricorns, this is the wisdom that came for you during Taurus season. So it's very interesting that as I was shuffling, this card actually flew out. I put it back in the deck, shuffle, and then it came out. And I was like, and I don't flip these over until I get to your sign. So I saw this before I laid the cards down. I was like, yeah, what is this asteroid about? And it is about wisdom, curiosity, justice, creativity, visualization, courage, and intuition. It says it represents the level of intelligence that is creative rather than the active mind. It can be depicted as a flash of insight or sudden inspiration, but also the intelligence that comes from one's perception and the capacity for us to envision a goal. It represents the ability to connect with our intuition and higher self, as well as our curiosity, which enables us to develop our capacity to connect with our environment. So it's a very, how I'm feeling about this is that it's very much, it's a combo of intuition and intellect. So Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign Capricorn, this Taurus season, it's imperative that, it's imperative that there's this thing that I talk a lot about with some of my coaching clients, that you look at the rationale between what you intuitively know and what you intellectually know. Sometimes they can seem to contradict each other. And as a Capricorn, you all Capricorns, some of you may default only to your intellect, what's tried and true, what you know works. But this asteroid that came up for you, as you see at the top, it says inner wisdom. There's an inner wisdom that surpasses just only what you intellectually know. And if your ego is in the way, you could trust more into your intellect than you do into your intuition. And if you are one of the Capricorns who skipped ahead to this section and you missed the whole opening that I did at the beginning of this video, I talked extensively about this solar eclipse that we are about to experience and how all eclipses are almost irrational. You can't control them. You can't. The changes that they bring is like your own energy being magnified back to you, right? And so if you've been doing this thing where you've only been trusting in your own wisdom and your own intellect, what you know, what you read, what you experienced, and you have not been listening to that intuitive voice, then you could find yourself very stuck and stagnant because your mind can only hold a certain amount of information and it can only recall a certain amount of information at any given time. But spirit in your intuition supersedes all of that. Your affirmation says, I release beliefs that no longer match my mission. So this really is in tune for you, Capricorns, because some of you, is really your beliefs. And I feel like for some of you, you believe in, this is hard for me to say because I'm all about self-love and self-worth and stuff, but you believe in yourself way more than you need to. Like, it could be you and God sitting at the table, and you still be trying to tell God, well, that ain't what I know, because last week when I did such a, you know what I mean? It's an ego thing. And this solar eclipse that's about to happen, because it's a solar eclipse, it deals with the ego. It eclipses the ego. It eclipses everything that you thought you knew, everything that you thought you were, right? And is, you know, and you can't control that. Capricorn likes to be able to monitor and control and keep things structured and keep things. Solar eclipse is like, bump that. There's forces at play that you have no control over. And so sometimes you do have to surrender your ego and what you think you know, because it could be the things that you think you know, and those long held beliefs that it's got to be done this way, it's always been done this way, this is how I did it last time and I was successful. But you might have to release some of those things that no longer match your mission. So do a real inventory of your true self-love and your true self-worth, because when you understand the God that actually dwells within you, when you understand that power and that your soul actually has a mission here, some of that ego stuff and some of those old beliefs just ain't going to cut it for where you say you're trying to go. Some of you have big dreams, big goals, and all this kind of stuff, and you think you can structure the entire path there. And I'm here to tell you, you can't. So this Taurus season is to really connect, I would say, for Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Capricorn, to really connect to the true God energy that dwells within you. Get grounded. You're Capricorn, so you're an earth sign. This is Taurus season, another earth sign. Get your ass outside in nature. Sit down in some grass. Meditate. Pray. Ask for divine guidance. Humble yourself. Humble yourself to a power that is greater than you, but is you, if that makes sense. Is greater than you, is greater than your own intellect, your own intuition, your own, what you think you know, but it is you because it lives inside of you. Sit down with that and then make moves, then structure a plan that is aligned to your mission. Again, if you skipped ahead and you missed the opening, go back, because I talk extensively about what this solar eclipse means for you. And then also, for a very limited time, I do have the premium coaching session available. It's called Pleasure is My Birthright, because we're in Taurus season and it's all about pleasure. And pleasure is, if you're working hard and there's no pleasure, what are you doing it for? If you're sexing hard and there's no pleasure, what are you doing it for, right? And so it is through our activation of our pleasure that we open the gateways to climb the ladder of success, that we open the gateways for more abundance and all of those sorts of things. So if you want that one-on-one coaching session with me, where I'm looking at your natal chart, I'm pulling cards, I'm using practical coaching tools to help guide you on opening the pleasure gateways so that you can bring about more pleasure and abundance and money and success, or whatever it is that you're wanting into your life, the easy way and not the hard way, then make sure that you click down below and get that while it is still available, because I'm only doing it during Taurus season, and I'm only doing it until I have a number in my head that once that number is there, is getting closed off anyway. So if you want that, make sure that you click down below and get that today. Who is next? Aquarius. To all of my Sun, Moon, and Rising sign Aquarius during Taurus season, what did y'all get? Y'all got the Sun. This is interesting. How many of y'all Aquarians skipped ahead to this point and y'all missed my whole opening where I talked exclusively about this solar eclipse that's happening this week? Okay, I ain't gonna repeat all that. Y'all got the rewind button. Scroll back and go get it. Y'all got the Sun, which says self-expression, ego, creativity, and identity. And then y'all got the affirmation, I eat foods that energize my spirit and raise my thoughts. This solar eclipse that is happening, one of the things I talked about is that it's a cosmic reset. All your any ego stuff, which is set on here with the sun, any ego stuff that y'all got going on is being eclipsed. Any part of your own self-expression and creativity that you're like, and you thought, oh, it's got to be this way. I've got to express myself this way. I got to be creative this way. When a solar eclipse happens, it's like cosmic reset. It's a totally new shift in that arena. I feel really good about this for you all, though. I feel like some of the areas in which, you know, some of you, my sun, moon, and rising sign Aquarians, where some of you maybe have been stuck or stagnant or trying to express yourself in a way, and it just feels like certain doors have been closed to you, you may find that this solar eclipse actually opens that door for you. So continue to shine your light. Continue to express yourself. I do feel like for some of you where you feel like you've been going at it so hard, you might want to ease up just a little bit and allow spirit to do its work. That's what a solar eclipse is anyway. A solar eclipse, it's not like when other things are happening where you can do all this moon magic and stuff. No, a solar eclipse is total surrender. You know, it's like total surrender. So there are some ways in which, you know, you perhaps have been going at things a lot harder than necessary. That it's like the universe or God or your ancestors is trying to say, let me show you how I can make this easier for you, you know. So allow your light, your own light to shine, but also allow space for spirit to work miracles for you, to accelerate some things that have been slow and stagnant for a while, to really accelerate some things very powerfully. Your ruling planet, Aquarius, is the planet Uranus. And Uranus just happens to be right now in the sign of Taurus, really shaking things up, really because Taurus likes things slow and stagnant and stable. And Uranus, your planet is there. It's like, hell no, let's get this thing moving, right? So you may find that with the sun also being in the sign of Taurus now too, there's a lot of powerful energy working in your favor to kind of break ground. That's what I'm feeling. It's like I almost feel like it's like, I feel how this is coming to my mind. It's like, you ever seen like a neighborhood that's being built, like the construction crews are out there. And before you saw the construction crews, there was a lot of planning. The architects had to draw the designs. There was a lot of financing. There's a lot, like all that paperwork and stuff. And then there's always all this massive excitement when ground is broken, because it's like, okay, now we're moving. Now we're moving on all of these plans that we've had. This here is telling me that there is some movement that is going to happen on your behalf, on all of the plans that you have, on all the work that you've done up until this point. So what do you need to do in the meantime? It says, I eat foods that energize my spirit and raise my thought vibrations. Get in the sun and eat some of this beautiful food that is coming up, because we're in springtime and the sun is, you know, things are heating up. It's like I'm picturing strawberries and blueberries and kale and spinach, and, you know, get your energy up by filling yourself with rich nutrients and vitamins. And I swear that may sound like, well, how's that gonna get the bulldozer to break ground? You'll be surprised. You know, it's about getting into alignment. And I talked about that at the beginning of this video. I said with this solar eclipse, there's no ritual you can do when there's an eclipse. There's only alignment, period. It's you getting into alignment, right? Is you getting into alignment. So if you skipped ahead, you also missed my announcement for my premium coaching session called Pleasure is My Birthright. And it is all about how do you ignite more of that pleasure in you, which for you all, it would definitely be through how you're eating, but igniting more of that pleasure in you so that your work is more pleasurable, your sex life is more pleasurable, you know, your money is more pleasurable, and it's bringing more of that into your life. And so that's a personal one-on-one coaching session where I'm looking at your natal chart. I'm pulling the cards for you. We will do some coaching assignments. You know, it's a very, very, I can't even tell you everything that will happen in it, because it is really the magic that happens when you and I are in virtual Zoom space one-on-one. And so if you want that, it is only available now during Taurus season or until it fills up. And so if you want that, that link is down below. Make sure you get that. All right. So who is next? Pisces. To all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Pisces during Taurus season. So interesting. Y'all just got the card of the previous sign that I just talked to. Y'all got Aquarius. And y'all have an affirmation that says, I speak love over every area of my life. So to all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Pisces right now during Taurus season, the fact that y'all got the Aquarius card is telling me that Taurus season for you all Pisces is really a time, I feel like for you all, it's time for you to put action behind the vision that you have for your life. Practical action towards the vision that you have for your life. Why am I saying that? Because Aquarius is a visionary energy. So it's telling me that some of you have a vision for your lives that you're desiring to experience. But because we're in Taurus season, Taurus is all about practical, let's get real, let's get grounded and do the damn work. All right. It's not just about the dream and just the vision. It's like, okay, you have this vision. What work do you need to do to make this vision happen? And as a Pisces, y'all can't lie to yourself about what it is y'all need to do. It's not about just being in the dream state at this point. It's about being real, being very, 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 very real. The fact that y'all got this affirmation, I speak love over every area of my life. We're in Taurus season, and I talked about this in the opening of this video. If you missed it, please rewind, because if you're one of the Pisces that just skipped ahead, you got to listen to the opening as well, because it helps you to understand what I'm saying here. But Taurus is a sign that is about physical, real world pleasure. It is also about self-love and self-worth. You will only take action in your life on the same level as your self-love and your self-worth. Why am I going to do all this talking and leave my water in another room? Excuse me. Pisces. If there are areas of your life, I feel like for some of you, there are certain areas of your life that you give a lot of love and a lot of attention to, because those are the areas of your life that you believe in. But in some areas of your life where you maybe aren't giving as much love and attention to, because you don't believe that it can be better, or you're fearful that it can't be better. This is saying that it can be better. This is saying, this Aquarius card also is saying that there is a whole vision for your life. Stop thinking of yourself in terms of parts, where I'm good at this part and I'm good at this part, so I'm ignore all the other 75% and I'm only going to focus in on what I believe I'm good at. Because Taurus is saying, and this Aquarius card is saying to you, dear Pisces, that you are a whole person. Speak love over your whole life. Create a vision, even for those areas of your life that you say there's no hope for that. I don't even know how that can get better. Speak love over that area. What is the vision that you have for that area? If you can make it be what you want it to be, what would it be? Speak life to those. Speak life and love to all areas of your life, and then take practical action towards creating the physical manifestation of the dreams that you have and the vision that you have in your mind. For a very limited time, I do have a premium coaching session that is available only right now during Taurus season, and it's called Pleasure is My Birthright. And it's all about igniting that pleasure principle in every area of your life, not just in work, not just in sex, not just in, your personal life or your relationships, but across the board, because it is the pleasure. It is pleasure that then brings back to us more pleasure and more abundance and more prosperity. It is a one-on-one coaching session where I'm looking at your natal chart, your birth chart. It's a real conversation. It's a magical experience. That's why it's a premium coaching package or coaching session. I'm using Oracle, I'm using astrology, I'm using practical coaching tools to guide you on activating that pleasure within your life, so that for some of you, I think some of you may be stuck in a delayed gratification thing where it's like, if I'm good enough, if I do better, if I'm good enough, or if I can get this part right, then I'll allow more pleasure into my life. And that's going about it the opposite way. So if you want that, it is available for a limited time during Taurus season, or until enough people sign up for it and I close it down. So if you want that premium one-on-one experience, make sure that you click down below to and register for Pleasure is My Birthright coaching session. All right. And make sure you watch the beginning of this video, because I talk about a lot about the solar eclipse that we're having this week and how that will impact you. So rewind this video and watch that first 15 minutes of this video. All right. Who is next? Last and certainly not least, Aries, because y'all were first last time, because last time was your season. So to all of my sun, moon, and rising sign Aries, right now during Taurus season, you got Saturn. And your affirmation says, I am deserving of every good thing this universe has for me. Now, Saturn, whenever I see this card, Aries, whenever I see the planet Saturn, I know that it's dealing with discipline, with structure, with restrictions, with learning lessons, okay? And not lying to yourself about how you've been accountable and how you've been responsible. The actual card itself says boundaries, limitations, delays, and responsibilities. Some of you, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign Aries, this Taurus season, need to take more accountability for yourself, for your own self-love and your own self-worth. Some of the limitations and challenges and obstacles that you all may be experiencing as Aries is because perhaps you're not also honoring your own self-love, your own self-worth. How does this show up? You're not honoring how you spend your time. Everybody got access to your time but you. You're not honoring how you're giving of your physical body. So perhaps you are having sex that is unfulfilling, or that doesn't match your energy, or doesn't match who you know yourself to truly be. It's just a sexual experience. And there's nothing wrong with just having sex if that's what you want. But if you're not being fulfilled, then there's a problem there. It's because it's a part of your soul that is not being acknowledged in that transaction, in that experience. And in Taurus season, Taurus is all about pleasure, sex, money, enjoying this life, finding pleasure in this life. And many of you Aries maybe are burning out because you are providing pleasure for other people. You're making life easy for other people. You're giving time, energy, money, pleasure, and sex to other people that is not being reciprocated. And it can't be reciprocated. Why? Because you're not giving it to yourself. Nobody can love you more than you. Nobody can honor your time more than you. Nobody can honor your healthy boundaries more than you. So you have to be the one to do that first, so that then you can allow these exchanges that you have with people where you work, who you have sex with, your friends, your whatever, so that then you can allow them to match the level of self-worth and self-love that you are already activating in your life. This will work for you because it says, I am deserving of every good thing this universe has for me. This universe has so much more for you. Aries, too many of you, I feel this so strongly right now. God, I'm coming strong at the end of this. I thought I was going to run out of energy, but I'm still here. Too many of you are living below your worth, and it's causing you to burn out. It's causing you to burn out. This life is supposed to be a pleasurable one. That is the lesson that Taurus has for you, Aries. Life is supposed to be pleasurable. It should be more pleasurable than not. And so many of you, I'm going to tell you the same thing I just told Pisces right before you. So many of you are giving too much pleasure to other people and not enough to yourself. And it will cause you to burn out. And Saturn ain't with the Saturn will let you burn out. Because like I told you, Saturn is one of the hardest, because Saturn is the planet of responsibility. Like Saturn, whenever you see Saturn, when I'm looking at somebody's natal chart and I see where Saturn is for them, that's the area of life where excuses is no excuses because you knew better. It's no excuses because you should have been accountable for yourself. You should have been more accountable for your self-love, more accountable for your self-worth, more accountable to your money, more accountable to how you spend your time. So yes, there's pleasure out here for you, but you are being held accountable for it. Make sure, Aries, that you go back and listen to the whole first, I think, 15 minutes of this video where I go in about what this Taurus season means for you, what this Taurus season means in terms of pleasure, right? Because Taurus is the sign of pleasure. And many of you, Aries, are working way too hard for just a little bit of pleasure. And that ain't cool no more. I talked about this solar eclipse, how this solar eclipse is going to bring you however you've been positioning yourself. So it's time to position yourself, get in alignment for the kind of pleasure, the pleasure you want in time, work, money, sex, relationships, self-love, self-worth. Get in alignment with that so the universe can match your energy and bring it back to you 100-fold. I ain't got nothing else to say to y'all, except if you also skipped ahead, then you missed my announcement for Pleasure is My Birthright premium coaching session. I'm only doing it during Taurus season. These are one-on-one virtual, like over Zoom coaching sessions. And I'm bringing all of me to the table, all of the astrology and the oracle, the practical coaching lessons. I'll have assignments for you. And it's all about igniting that pleasure within your life so that your work becomes more pleasurable and more profitable, that your relationships become more pleasurable and more profitable, that, you know, your sex life is more pleasurable and more profitable and more beneficial to you. So if you want that, it is available again for a limited time, only during Taurus season, or until I have a number in my head of the number of people I would like to have that session with. And so once that fills up, it will go away. So if you want to be in that number, then make sure you click down below and book Pleasure is My Birthright premium coaching session. And yes, that's it. So yes, that is it. Everybody's a Taurus, including you. Thank you to everybody who has watched, even if you just watched your own sign, if you watched the whole video, if you watched for other signs as well, if you watched for your sun or your moon and your rising sign. Thank you. And that's it. I'm going to get out of here because I have things to do. So much love, so much peace and love to each and every one of you. I so appreciate you. Thank you.